And you'd be surprised at like how little you have to change your site. Like we have one site that gets, I think like less than 5,000 sessions a month, and we help them in one test. They're like doing 70% increase revenue per visitor.
Welcome to today's episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast, where we dive into the dynamic world of e-commerce and uncover the tools and tactics that empower today's emerging entrepreneurs. Our podcast is part of our community with the same name. The community is geared to providing emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs with courses, content, and coaching to help you all launch and grow successful businesses. Check us out at ecomrevolution.co. Let's get things started. Welcome back to another episode of the E-Commerce Revolution podcast, where we talk to the brightest minds shaping the future of e-commerce. I'm your host, Ramin, and today we're going to do something different, something we have not done before. We're launching a segment called Celebrity Site Review, and we'll see how it goes. We're excited about this, where we break down celebrity e-commerce sites to see what's working and what's not, and what lessons everyday brand owners can take away from them. And to kick it off, I'm joined by one of the sharpest minds in conversion rate optimization, Mia Umanos. Mia is the co-founder of Clickvoyant, love that brand name, an AI-powered CRO platform helping e-commerce brands turn data into growth. And she also runs Behavioral CRO School, a thriving community where marketers learn how to use behavioral science to boost conversions. And all of these things matter so much, and we'll find out in just a few moments how important conversion rate optimization, or CRO, is to every e-commerce brand out there. So without any further ado, please welcome Mia to the E-Commerce Revolution podcast. Mia, wonderful to have you here today. Thank you for coming.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we said that, we set this up and said we're going to do a live teardown, and live, we're not really live on air. You're going to be surprised. You don't know anything about this teardown. You don't know anything about this site, but I know that you are the perfect person to do this. And we're going to walk through this site step by step. But I think before we do that, I really want to set the stage for the audience out there. What exactly is CRO, conversion rate optimization, and why should e-commerce brands care about it? So many brands just start building and trying to sell, but why should they take a step back and understand what CRO is?
Yeah, this is such a great question, and it honestly is a bit of a trigger for me to call it CRO in general. Back in the day, we used to call it just experimentation. And what we're really trying to do is, your e-commerce property is a lab. It is a behavioral lab of how people shop, evaluate products, narrow to the products that they want, and ultimately bounce or buy. And those things are never studied. I would say maybe... Right. I honestly would say that probably enterprise does this well, but in a, sub Fortune 500, it rarely gets looked at because every data science talent is looking at ROAS or paid media and business intelligence, but what we're really not focusing on as an industry is shopper intelligence. And that's the thing that, we're like, I'm dying on that hill, Ramin. I'm saying, like, if you're going to spend all this hard-earned traffic and paid for traffic, you need to understand how they're showing up or how you're showing up.
Yes.
So what conversion optimization means to me is we are experimenting in the e-commerce property, looking at how people evaluate and testing. And I'm not just saying, yes, multivariate testing, that works, but it's not the same thing as studying. And the science behind studying is that we are doing controlled experiments to understand how she shops, how she evaluates, what are the psychological and subconscious triggers to that purchase or that bounce. And that allows us as e-commerce brands to show up better from page one to, post conversion upsells.
Right.
That's what CRO is to me.
And that's a great, perfect definition for it. And I think a lot of brands, and maybe you would agree with this, especially in the early days, obsessed with traffic, right? I got to get traffic, more and more and more traffic. What I see is let's look at a few indicators. What does the conversion rate look like on your site? What is the average order value? I mean, if you could just tweak and change a few things on your site, sure, continue to get traffic. That's important. But making these changes, and this is where CRO comes in, right? Making these some ongoing small changes to get more conversion at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'd be surprised at like how little you have to change your site. Like we have one site that gets, I mean, literally, I mean, like I think like less than 5,000 sessions a month. And we help
Okay.
them in one test. They're like doing 70% increased revenue per visitor
Wow.
just because they had never looked at it before, had never
Interesting.
considered how they're showing up for all that, traffic, even if it's below 5,000 people.
Wow, that's very interesting. Okay. Well, are there like five, CRO priorities, that you could list, that brands need to pay attention to, especially, emerging brands that are just getting started or they've been doing this for a few years and, they're hitting five, maybe close to six figures and they've never done this before. What are like the five priorities they should be paying attention to when it comes to conversion rate optimization?
Okay, so top five, I would say the number one thing is your product positioning. This is something that they come to the market and they're like, oh, I just want to make a pretty bag, and they just start building these templates. But the thing that they don't consider is they need to start getting obsessed about their customer and why they buy. So the position is like, are you buying this bag because it's game day, NFL? Are you buying this bag because it's an event based? What is the purchase for? And that just very small tweaks to messaging or product positioning can help increase conversion rate quite a bit. The second thing that they should be thinking of is navigation as a merchandising component. So a lot of people think of e-commerce navigation as like, well, we need to show everything that we have in the store, right? They think of it as like more of a content taxonomy. And so, for example, one product should only fit inside one category. But when you think about merchandising, you're actually one product can be in multiple categories because it's like, well, if it's in the case of a bag, it might be under a backpack navigation, but it might be under that game day ready, NFL, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
as a different, that's a merchandising opportunity. So
Interesting. Okay.
that's navigation is merchandising. The third thing is looking at wayfinding on your site. So like are your collections pages scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls if you're in a multiple SKU, if you have lots of SKUs. So looking very closely at how they filter, how they sort, through your collections pages. And then finally, like, what is the right mix? What's the product detail cocktail of reviews and content? And how much are you touting the product? How little are you describing the product, right? And that's where like product positioning comes into play. And then your fifth thing is whatever you can do in your cart to create some kind of urgency messaging. Like
Interesting.
why should I check out now? Is it
Right.
this is going to be in my cart for the next 20 minutes or top popular products like you can I think that we have a tendency to look at a tech stack in Shopify particularly and go, well, what can we do with this tech stack? And then we
Right.
introduce stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't think about from the perspective of the consumer
Yeah. That's
why
it.
are you doing it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think what is the stat still out there that 70% of carts are abandoned? I mean, so what is what are we trying to get them to do? Yes, don't have them hang around. People need a nudge. We all need a nudge in life.
Not.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And it doesn't always
Interesting.
have to be sale. There's a lot of subconscious triggers too.
Yeah,
That
yeah. No, I love it. Well, talk to me. Talk to me about that psychology. I mean, you use the word behavioral in your community. I mean, how much of what you do and how much of this world of conversion rate optimization, is this behavioral science? Is some of it just best practices? Like, all right, we know don't make a CTA this color, or is it to don't make a CTA this color because the human mind doesn't like that color? How do you get into that? How do you define that part?
Yeah, this is a great question. And we're partners with we're tool agnostic. So we're partnered with Visually, we're partnered with Shoplift, we're partnered with like all the darlings,
Mm-hmm.
VWO. And the thing that we find is that people tend to test the technology, we'll test a UX design, we'll test a template. But what is missing is the behavioral science piece of it, because you can only get so far on a UX test. And in
Right.
fact, I think best practices are, pretty trite, in fact. Like when we say best practices, we're either doing what our competitors are doing
Right.
or we're doing what we think we see in the marketplace. And what works for a backpack is not going to work for a dress, is not going to work for a water bottle. And even water bottle to water bottle might not work.
Sure.
And so you need to think about who you're, as brands grow over time, sometimes they lose touch with who those customers are on their site. Like we've grown and we don't really know who's here anymore. So finding out the psychographic behaviors, the reasons to buy, and introducing the thought process of subconscious decision making. So when we're on hands on keyboard designing e-commerce properties, we're typically designing for a very rational decision maker, right? They're
Yeah.
gonna think about this. They're gonna watch my video, then they're gonna read the reviews, and then
Right.
start it, right?
Right.
But the truth is, like 80% of the traffic is coming in mobile.
Yeah, so you have to pay attention to that immediately, right? What's the psychology on the mobile? People are usually on the go. They're not sitting in one place. They have, we're constantly in a rush, I guess, is maybe sometimes the best way of thinking of it.
Yeah, and distracted at the
Yes.
same time.
Yeah.
And so when you're thinking about how to convert somebody, that human brain is actually taking a lot of mental shortcuts. So some things that are pretty common, like common words, are things like social proof and urgency, authority bias. So when we start to get into what are the mental shortcuts that people are taking,
Sure.
when they're on a mobile, on my e-commerce property, now we're designing very differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we're
exactly.
trying to think about subconscious cues. Now that button color does matter, right?
Yeah.
If we've got a heavily branded site that's like, luxury, and we're only going to make link clicks like this very diminutive underline, now we're like, well, are we doing our customers a disservice by designing to our very high, achieving luxury brand?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny. I saw it was a picture, and this is not in the world of e-commerce. This was the toolbar or the control bar for YouTube since 2005, and they showed it in all the different. And to me, that's conversion rate optimization. They are constantly tweaking that bar to have all the things that they need to have based on how we use YouTube, but also making sure that the user can figure out what they're doing very easily. And it's not, they don't just sit there and say, well, let's just add a button here and there. There's psychology that goes into that, and probably a lot of testing, similar to how e-commerce brands are probably testing their navigation constantly and tweaking that and tweaking all of these things. I feel like there's so much that goes into this, and it's a question I have for you is that, you mentioned VWO, Visual Website Optimizer, Optimizely, SiteLift, some of these sites that can help you with that A/B testing, the heavy lift of this. Do I absolutely need to have one of those tools, or can I do this a different way? Can I just test something for 15 days or 30 days and then do another test? Talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, it's always a combination of traffic and number of conversions. So when I think of CRO, it's a statistical research practice, and so you need to have, a split, test. You need to be able to split the audience. You need to be able to have enough in each sample that is a good representation of your whole, and you need to have enough conversions to be able to analyze the outcomes. And so, like, say for example, like a wedding dress site, hundreds of thousands of users, maybe a couple of transactions. That's not the greatest candidate, but other companies, like in this example that I mentioned to you, a smaller company with less than 5,000 users,
Yeah.
like they have a $20 average order value thing and lots of conversions. And so Do you need the tool? I think you definitely need a splitter of some kind. You need a traffic splitter of some kind. Do you need Optimizely, the most expensive Cadillac tool? No. I think our philosophy at Clickvoyant is that you bleed on tools until you need the next upgrade. Because
Okay.
it's very easy to look at all of these tools and say, all right, well, I'm making a decision on what we're going to spend. And this one, for $500 more a month has all these bells and whistles on it. But the fact is, most of the customers who come to us are testing to the tune of like 2 tests a month. And that is not CRO.
Yeah.
Like doing 2 tests a month is going nowhere fast on
Interesting.
a what happens to those customers is that they end up churning on the software, they're churning on the service because you can't really research at 2 tests a month. And a lot of these CRO, retainers out there are
Yeah.
like, we're gonna it's $5,000 for like 3 tests. And it's like
Wow.
that's impossible
Yeah.
because when you've got so much traffic, you need to split audiences, you need to do lots of different things. You got to fail fast
Right.
to learn. So for our like to do CRO, I think you do need to have speed and you need to have a testing velocity that's closer to like 10 or 15 tests a month, which is what we like.
Okay.
And, and I think that that's, whatever tools you're using to do that, do the cheapest tools first and work your way up.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know the number. 5 to 10, and that if you're doing two, you're kind of just doing nothing really. At the end of the day, you're not doing much of anything. Interesting, very good. Well, this is a great setup to what we're about to get into, and I'm even now starting to wonder: do these big brands, and what we're going to look at today is in the category of a big brand, are they using tools? Are we going to be tested on today as we're looking at their site? Are we getting a B version or are we getting an A version? Who knows? We don't know the details of that. I'm sure we could look at their tech stack and see if they've got anything installed. But I
Yep.
think at the end of the day, whether you're a big brand or you're a small brand, this concept of continuously testing and modifying and making better. It's all the goal is more sales, better user experience, happier customers, ultimately at the end of the day, and stronger brand. And that's, I think CRO plays an incredibly important part in this. So, and I love that you have the community too. I think that's an amazing part. I'm sure there's a lot of knowledge shared from other brands. Like, hey, we did this and this didn't work, and we tried this and this didn't work, or this lift was amazing. So I think that being able to share within a community is an important factor. So, are you ready to jump in to do a teardown now that we know what CRO is all about? All right, perfect.
Do it.
All right. So, as I said, our first ever celebrity site review. We will most likely and undoubtedly do more of these because I think this is a fun idea. And just to set the stage, neither one of us have any affiliation with this brand. We have not solicited them. We have not asked them for business. They have not asked us for business. We're simply doing this today for educational purposes only, so people out there can learn and get your thoughts on how they should do things correctly. So, without any further ado again, we are going to review Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's site, Papatui, which I'm a fan of, okay? I'm a huge fan of. I use his product all the time. I think he's a great guy. I think his brand is very cool, and I think it's a very interesting site. The site is on Shopify. I did check that out ahead of time. I don't know if it's on the Plus or most likely on the Plus, my guess. And they're they're also sold through other retailers out there, through Target and places like that. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to do a walkthrough of the homepage. We're going to do a category page. We're going to do a product page, and we're going to add to cart. And I'm going to get your opinion along the way on how and what they're doing correctly and what you think. All right, so here we go. Let's do a share and get my screen all set up here. There we go. I assume you can see the screen.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to let you do your thing. I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to do what you do best. But maybe let's start at the top in the header section and kind of work our way down and tell us what you see and what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, it's interesting. I love that they have this, but the second image is the rock. So first of all, if I mess this up, my daughter's gonna hate me because she's a really big rock fan. Um, but I would say the first thing is, I mean, we're looking at this on a desktop. I do love that the rock's image is on the hero because that's what we're introducing street credibility. The first thing is when we start to look at CRO, how are people coming here? Like maybe they're probably coming because they saw Papatui, maybe in Target,
Hmm.
and now they're coming here. I honestly would lead with the Rocks image here versus the spray. I know
Hmm.
that it says full body deodorant spray right there in the image, but you can see how small that subtext is.
Yes.
If you look at the first one, new full body deodorant, sweat doesn't stop at your pits now, neither does your deodorant. Like that's a lot of text to look
Yeah.
at. Um, and then shop back to school bundles. I mean, shop now, that's a pretty typical conversion
Hmm.
rate or
Yeah.
a typical CTR. That's
Uh-huh.
a click through, like a CTA, call to action.
Yeah, right there. Okay.
But I do think that that subtext is pretty small. And I don't know if you're able to do this, Ramin, but
Hmm.
can we take a look at it in a mobile environment?
Sure, yeah, we can do that. We can switch to, I'll do view inspect element, and
Yep.
I'll switch. There we go.
Let's see if we can refresh and see what this looks like.
Let's do a little
But that is a
thing.
lot of real estate.
Let's do there. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's refreshed in this is a responsive. Let me just double check. Let's take, let's do an iPhone 14. How about an iPhone 14 Pro
Yeah,
Max?
I
Okay.
think that makes
There we go.
sense.
A little bit bigger
Uh,
there. So you think that putting, obviously he's the celebrity behind the brand. That should be the first image that people see, not necessarily one of his products. Lead with celebrity. It is what it is, right? It's what we're kind of all here for. You know.
this is one of those, psychological shortcuts of the
Yeah.
biases we're taking. It's like, oh, it's a rock. Okay, I can believe it.
Right.
So I do like that, and I do have to wonder because the hero has such prominence. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can see here above the fold,
Mm-hmm.
there are no products. There
Yeah.
is a CTA to shop the bundles, but
Mm-hmm.
if you scroll down, you can see that that hero is taking up quite a bit of space.
It is, yeah,
So
yeah. So, are you seeing this take our quiz to the next level? You see this part right here that's kind of scrolling.
yes,
Yeah.
I do.
What is the point? Tell me about that. I mean, I know that's actually built into Shopify templates. Why do I want to see that? Does it get my attention, or is this in some ways distracting? This kind of scrolling ticker bar.
Well, what's really good about motion in general is that
Hmm.
humans have to pay attention to it because
Mm.
if you don't pay attention to motion, you will die, right?
Yeah.
So, from a bias standpoint, it's good to see that. But in the sense that it is a scrolling ticker,
Hmm.
a lot of e-commerce properties are prone to banner blindness. So
Mm.
sometimes you see this there, or sometimes you'll see it in the top, very top header. And so it's not the only place that we should be mentioning the quiz.
Okay.
So I do like a quiz for CPG products because,
Hmm.
it's really hard to sell a bottle of something.
Right.
So when
Right.
you're trying to choose what's going to be good for you, quizzes are great. I've seen
Yeah.
quizzes work really well. Getting people to take the quiz
Hmm.
is the trick. Yeah, I would say, not so bad. I would scroll down a little bit even further. I think the hero has taken up a little bit too much placement.
Hmm.
So this is what we're calling social proof. Like,
Yeah.
okay, people in social media like this,
Right.
and it looks like there's a positioning too
Yeah.
um, of a particular product, which I love.
Yeah. No, this is great. And then, yes, this is great. A lot of times I see just the social proof, but no mention of the product that's in the social proof. And they're making it super easy to just literally click on, here's the Tattoo 360-degree spray, click and go and buy. Very smart. Very smart. Just out of curiosity, if I could go back up to the top here, this bar, promotional bar up here, I find this to be very underutilized in a lot of brands. It's such a great spot. I mean, it's something that essentially follows you around everywhere you go. And here it says free shipping on orders 40 plus. shop now. A lot of times when I even see it, brands just put it in there. They don't even put a link to what they want people to do, the action. If you're just saying free shipping 40 plus, that's great, but what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do after that? You want me to shop now. So I think that's a really good button. Very simple, clean, approach there. So I just want to make sure we call that out as we go.
Yeah.
They don't have a sticky header. That's interesting. I see, the header doesn't stick with you, it just sticks momentarily and then it disappears. Yeah, it'd be nice if it stuck with you.
That causes people to have to scroll up and down. And again, in a
Yeah.
mobile environment, like it's, a lot of things can get missed. So again, like that thing that I mentioned about motion, like I really like this social aspect.
Yeah.
That people are paying attention to this. I wonder how it stacks in a mobile environment and if it's high enough. So a lot of
Interesting.
times, if you look at, an entire page top to bottom and you split that page in quartiles, you'll see that people do not scroll much past the 50% mark.
Right.
So if you have a long page that goes like this in a mobile environment, whatever you've put below that 50% mark, if it's important to you, you want to put it to the top.
And so here's a question that, somebody may be asking as they're watching this is, well, how do I figure out how far people are scrolling? And, tools like Microsoft Clarity, what other, do you like Microsoft Clarity for that? Do you, other Hotjar, so I can see where people are landing and how they're interacting with my site?
Yeah, for the lay person, I think Hotjar, Clarity are really great places because you can see it in a visual representation. For those of you who might be more mathematic in your audience, I would definitely look to Google Analytics because now you can actually grab the metrics and do some scientific experiments and research on that.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this section right here? This formulated without sulfites, paraben-free, cruelty-free, vegan. What do you think of those, and should brands have those in there, especially if they're selling, products that have, chemical, potentially, people think they have chemicals. In this case, there are no chemicals, no bad chemicals in his products.
Yeah, I think this is really great. Like, paraben-free, phthalate-free, cruelty-free, vegan. These are all very normal things to say. And as well, there's a couple things I want to say about this. One, the color contrast is so light. It's again one of those things where you talk about like, oh, well, we're leaning in on the branding that it might get missed altogether. If you're taking a mental shortcut, you might pass over this. And a lot of people don't read on a mobile environment. And so, think about this, right? What else could be on brand for this company? Like paraben free, these are almost like table stakes now, right?
Yeah.
For products in this category. Like all of their competitors will say exactly the same thing. But if you were The Rock, if you were this company, like would it be on brand for you say none of the bad stuff? Or right, or even maybe dig into that even more. Just what is that mental shortcut that somebody is saying? If this looks like everyone else, then how are you different?
Yeah, it's interesting, like his packaging too, and I know, that'll play into the product photography here. It looks very natural, right? Natural product. And I like your idea. This is, do you need to say all those things, or can you simply say, hey, I don't put anything bad in my products, It's plain and simple. Interesting.
Right.
Okay.
All good for you, good for the environment. Like that's
Right.
a mental shortcut.
Okay, I love that. I love that. Okay, then we get down here, and we've got, it's again, this, you can start to see the Shopify theme elements here. Text with product block. Beautiful product block. Putting everything in there. I see the exfoliating scrub that I love so much in there. That is, again, beautiful imagery. Pulls you in. That pulls me in. What do you think of these kind of sections? Is this just standard? Good to have?
I think this is it's standard, it's good. Branding is critical, especially in CPG. And then your next work, once the branding is in place, is the why. So what we're pushing on here is called authority bias. Dermatologist tested men's care. We have the authority to sell this to you and say that we're good. But what it's lacking is any kind of real metrics, right? If you know who's very good at this? Infomercials.
Okay.
Very
Yeah.
at this. It's like dermatologist tested, trusted by 1,000 dermatologists. 87% say that this made them feel more manly. If you want to push on authority bias, concrete metrics are the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So essentially give us a number right here. Tested by thousands of dermatologists, or something that we can hold on to, that we feel good. I think we can always point back to 4 out of 5 dentists recommend that concept, right?
Yes.
We need that as human beings, but good, standard good call to action right there. Again, the imagery. Now it's interesting. The image itself is not linked, and I would say I would link the image, because I feel that a lot of people, they're not going to necessarily always just click on the word shop all. They may want to click on the image and it doesn't go anywhere.
And this is another situation where I would be like, is the button color contrasted enough
Ah, okay. Nice.
to take
Yeah.
that mental shortcut, right? You have to roll over it to see it.
Right. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Very good. And then we get into some more social proofing there. And we've got he's got the 5-star reviews all laid out. Maybe potentially pulling them actually from the product itself, potentially. But that's good. I mean, he's kind of sandwiching, and again, I know he's not sitting there designing his own site. He's got a team, working on this, but, sandwiching that social proof, top and kind of ending it with some more social proof, really giving you that feeling of, you really should buy this. This is what real guys are saying. I do like that, what real guys are saying.
Right. And I would even push on that, and even better, like even a little picture, a little circle picture next to
Yes.
the name. That's another subconscious cue that this is a real person.
Yeah, that's great. And then we've got mailing lists. Now, interestingly enough, now I've been to this site a couple of times. This time I did not see, and maybe because I've been to it a few times, the pop-up. I didn't see, and he's definitely using email marketing. His company is using email marketing effectively. What are your thoughts these days on pop-ups? Any opinions on, should we rather than pop up, should we just embed like this, maybe embed the email sign-up list someplace higher on the page, or should we stick with pop-ups?
I mean, I think the to pop up or not to pop up is not the question. It's how and when,
Uh-huh.
right? It does work for the people it's going to work for. So that is to say, like, there's no spinny wheel or coupon code that you can try to force somebody into that's going to get them to buy if they're only here to research.
Got it.
So I think it's more like thinking about what is the cadence.
Mm-hmm.
Some brands I've seen do it too little because they're worried about, how it looks, and other brands I've seen it do too much.
Yeah.
That said, I think that subscribing to the mailing list is a critical business function of
Mm-hmm.
the website. And
Right.
so, having it diminutive like this, there might be other opportunities. Like I would love to see where this is on the quiz. I would love to see like where
Mm.
it is in the blog if they have it, and on the store locator. So it's like the
Yeah.
reasons to subscribe is the critical positioning that CRO would take on.
Okay. Talk to me really quickly about footers. How important are they? Should we repeat everything that's in our header in the footer? What's the psychology behind the footer these days?
Well, we don't see very many people engaging with the footer unless they're looking at about us.
Oh,
So
okay.
what's interesting is like one, footers are for customer service
Mm-hmm.
and for deepening the relationship to the brand. So
Okay.
actually, oh yeah, there is an about us. So,
Mm-hmm.
mostly the navigation, when I talk about merchandising the navigation, that's in the top part. When we
Okay.
see people behaving in the footer, they're usually looking for something that they know is buried, like about us,
Mm-hmm.
like customer service,
Mm-hmm.
and you think, yeah, those like store locators, or how to find contact information.
Got
So
it.
it's very much a utilitarian place
Mm-hmm.
that we don't spend a lot of time there because we are looking to increase shopping conversion rates.
Sure.
The behavior down there is very utilitarian. Again, the motives there, like get out of my way.
Right, right. Okay, very good. Well, let's take a look at a category page. Let's take a look at maybe face and see what's happening here in face. So, okay. Now, just something that pops out. I mean, beautifully laid out again. Very. It's got very Shopify-esque, if you will. But paying attention to design. I see no copy here. Now, I would encourage brands to have a little bit of header copy to describe it. But this is The Rock. I don't know if he needs to really work on that, or should he be putting in copy here to describe this category to people?
Human brain loves repetition. And so I always recommend that we're having some kind of, we don't need to go with a full-on homepage hero on a collections page, but something to orient the shopper. Because a lot of times I'm willing to bet that this is the entry page to
Yes.
somebody coming in. This is their first blush, that they're coming in and they're entering through the face collections page. And there's a lot of stuff to look at here. And so
Yeah.
not just the orienting around why, reminding facial products that are tested by thousands of dermatologists, one positioning copy, but also a sub-navigation. Like, I know that there's 11 products here,
Yeah.
not so many,
So maybe
but
let's click on that sorting, see how that looks. So you get a standard sorting. That's interesting. But you say maybe some sub navigation in here would be key.
yes, and the sub-navigation isn't about, like, some people, the pushback I get a lot of times is, well, there's already filter and sort. I was like, well, you've made the user think, right?
Interesting.
Made the
Yes.
user think. But if you had, like bestsellers, which I really love here, that there's already the bestsellers. And what we can see here for 11 products is there are 3 rows, but in a mobile environment, it might be one at a time, or right, and
Yeah.
you'd have to scroll down, and you're just looking at pictures of bottles,
Right. Right.
right?
No,
And so orienting the user around, what is a skincare issue? Is this for acne, right? Is my motivation here to save money? Is my motivation here to solve a problem? Is my motivation here to learn about The Rock, right? So
Interesting. Right. Right. Okay. I mean, this is interesting. When you roll over, you get this. Decreases puffiness. Improves overall appearance of skin. That's a nice little, but maybe a little more. Again, if dermatologists have tested this, bring in more of that testing into the mix here. What do you think of these badges? Bestseller, free shipping. These are effective. Do I get excited that this is a bestseller? Am I gonna want to click on it because of
yes,
that? Okay.
people do click on bestseller, and so I love it. I love that. I always get really sad when I don't see that merchandising, because that is another visual cue for somebody to go to merchandise,
Right.
to click there. And so, other things like that I would consider is maybe sorting this by bestsellers. I can see that it's defaulted to featured, but there is another bestseller there that is like product number 6 or product number 8, and it doesn't seem to be quite working.
No. No. I don't. It does not seem to be this. We should be seeing all of them up here in the top row. Based on that, I think I did that correctly. Yeah, I did that. Sorted by bestseller. Oh, view. Let me see if that does it. No, does not change it. Okay, well, something for them to look at. Yeah.
Those are some things I do like that.
Okay. Tell me about this. Do you like the layout of this down here? Unscented, the name of the product, the price, and then some social proof coming in.
Yes, I do like that. I mean, I think the unscented might be a little bit of overkill. It's probably more information than someone needs at this point. But what I think it's doing right is there is an add to cart on collections page. If you are an e-commerce property that does not have add to cart on collections, do that right now.
Yes.
A lot of times you have to click in and the user already is ready to add to cart. And sometimes they're building their basket here to evaluate later. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So I do like that there's an add to cart. I do like that there is a rollover for the product case, because there's a lot of copy in the product itself to try to process.
Yeah,
Right?
there is.
You're not actually in store looking at the bottle. This is an e-commerce environment, and you're probably on mobile. So because there's a lot of text on the product itself, I think that that's a little bit of cognitive load on the user. So
Interesting.
I would even consider things like, those maybe leveling up some of those rollovers in advance for the products that they're particularly want to sell.
Okay, I love it. Mixing in a little of Dwayne the Rock Johnson in some of these pictures. I see. Pulling that in. That's good. I do like this sexy eyes in 10 minutes. That's good.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, that's more. That's on brand. I think that's that's what we're looking for here.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great, and he's vulnerable. He's putting himself in, putting eye patches underneath his eyes. I love it. Showing that men can take care of their faces and can take care of their look. That's good. Okay. Email marketing following you around everywhere. Looks like showing up on all these pages. Anything else on the category page that pops out?
I think we've said most of the things that I think I would test right away.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's go and just look at a product page and get your thoughts on what's happening on this product page. Wow, big picture, very big.
Yes, and with because Google Merchandise Center requires that you have only the product page to show up in SEO, or the product image. I think that's great. I do like that the second one is moving quickly into the reasons to buy.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then you have your dermatologist tested bag. I would love to see more of that actually in the collections page. But I
Okay.
think this is doing a really good job. I mean,
Yeah.
going first of all, defaulting to subscribe and save. People, I mean, if they will only do that if they are ready to, but I think that it makes sense, especially for returning users to default there. And you
Right.
are a returning user, as I know.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Then I like that. And I find it, you point us out that the pictures tell a story. And there's not much, to this product in terms of angles. You don't need to take, multiple angles like you would of a shoe. So it just, front. So they're using the pictures to tell that story, really build up, remove excess oil. Then let's put a, authoritative picture of the rock in there. Let's put in that, the paraben free. Maybe even this would be a good place for a video. Maybe, having him come on and say, I don't put anything bad in my products. That would work well. And then back to, a beautiful stylized shot of this in a, well-decorated bathroom. But yeah, they do very, very effective on the imagery, I think.
I agree.
What do you think of this? Free shipping, 30-day returns, again, authoritative. You feel comfortable. You feel better buying from them if and you can return it in 30 days.
Yes, that's actually critical to reducing anxiety. So everybody before any purchase has an anxiety, and so addressing the free shipping, addressing the 30-day free return is great. What I'd love to see under the complete the routine is actually there are parts of bundles here. So it's like here it's looking like what I'm doing is adding an individual thing, right? But it's
Yeah.
again like the complete the routine. This is a very subtle change, but it was like, is the upsell action item to complete your routine or buy more and save more, right?
Right. Interesting.
So if you buy the bundle, it looks like there is a bit of a, maybe there isn't actually. I made that assumption. Maybe it's not true.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I would think that, and I get this, it's a good idea to complete the routine. I mean, yes, you shouldn't, they're kind of educating you a little bit what you need, but it would be nice if I could just click a button and just get all of them in one shot,
Right.
here, or I could do individual plus, or, underneath it, there could be just simply click and get the whole bundle.
Yeah, there is a SKU. I saw it. I mean, I don't know if it's positioned. I mean, this is where the technology can sometimes get in the way. If you're using
Sure.
like Shopify bundles and it's actually each individual SKU. But what I always recommend is that the bundle is a one SKU for the bundle.
Okay.
That way you can see it, pardon me, for the view or the add to cart.
Okay. Good, decent description, seems to be well written. See it in action. I like this. It's kind of interesting. You get a little video. Nice. Okay. I don't really see any action happening in that video, but let's try this one. There we go. It's got music. Interesting. And then they've got a little shop button right here on the video itself. That's smart. I like that. Interesting. Okay.
That app or plugin, I'm familiar with that one, and I've seen that work better when you have social affiliates in there.
Okay.
It's great to have the glossy branded content, but when somebody else is talking about your brand, it always sells better.
Right, right. Okay. These good. Yeah. This, interesting. Little expanders, collapsible sections. I guess the point of the collapsible section, to create more space, kind of clean it up, look at neat, and if you really want to look at it, you can click the plus sign. Do people really get it? You think is it pretty obvious that I need to click on plus in this?
I think that they do. I mean,
Okay.
here's the thing. Like, there's a couple different use cases for that. One is the SEO factor. The other is to like make sure that we have the information that needs to get on there.
Okay.
I think that what a lot of brands miss is actually tracking this.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the only place you can really do it is Google Analytics, and they often don't. And so when we start tracking that for them, they go, "Oh my gosh, but real results is actually the top thing," right?
Right.
You need to know that. You need to know if they're seeing it, if they're opening it, so that you can understand what is the thing that is correlated to the add to cart.
Right.
And so is it, like I love that they have scent notes. That's so unique actually. The
Mm.
scent notes and the real results are pretty unique for a CPG brand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unscented.
Yeah.
But I would love to see if people are clicking there. And if they are, sometimes we find out that those are things that we should be leveling up in the automatically open description.
Ah, good. Yeah. Okay. So like when you land here, maybe one of these is open, ready to look at. Okay, that's interesting. Here we got the scroller again, and again, to your point, maybe it's not necessary. You can say this in a very casual, cool way, and we don't put anything bad in our products. But maybe they've done some testing to see that people are gravitating towards vegan and cruelty-free. Those are very standard. You're right. Cruelty-free is something that's been used a lot in the world of grooming products. Right. It's always been an important element to point out. Okay, interesting. Some more social proofing. This I thought was kind of interesting when I saw this. First of all, beautiful image, and then 90-second facial care routine. Give you some education here too.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'd be so curious how this shows up on
Yeah,
mobile.
on mobile. Yeah.
And I also wonder what is the psychology behind the 90 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
right? The 90-second face care routine. That suggests that they know something about their shopper that is, I don't have time to do
Right.
this. Like, or I've never incorporated this. And so if that is the case, I would like to see that further up
Mm-hmm.
in the content. And I haven't, I mean, this is actually our first time seeing it together.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of social proof, we've seen a lot of the rock, we've seen a lot of authority,
Yeah.
but some of the reasons to buy, if it's like, oh, I'm new to skincare and
Mm-hmm.
I need to have this be like a very quick routine for me, I would like to see this tested further up in the merchandising.
Okay, that's good. I just took a look at it in mobile. I know it didn't translate, and for those of you who are watching this, you can just simply use right click and do inspect element and change it to the mobile device that you want to look at. It stacks nicely. I think what's missing here, there's no call to action here. This is maybe this should lead to, potentially, you don't want to take. This is the product page, so you don't necessarily want to take people away. But maybe at this point, I might need a little more information. Maybe there's another page out there, or maybe this is simply enough. I think maybe 90-second facial
Yeah.
care is good enough for me as a consumer, and I can just look at it and say, all right, one, two, three,
And
four things I need to do.
one of people love steps. Like
Yeah.
that is a great mental shortcut. And what I would love to see is that tested in the navigation, the thing that we talked about.
Ah,
Oh,
yes.
drop the 90-second routine. And it's like step one, step two, step three, step four. Here are the products. Add it all to your cart. See how that does for Papatui.
Interesting. Oh, I like that. That's great. That's great. Okay. And then we end this page with lots of reviews, and you would expect a big brand like this is probably pulling in reviews, constantly. But it's nice. And then, we've got some FAQs. What's your thought on FAQs these days? I'm hearing a lot of that this is perfect for AI as well. The AI engines love FAQs, but just in general, FAQs have been around forever. Do you encourage brands to add FAQs to their site, and where do you like to see them?
Well, I like to see FAQs as it's represented here, actually. I think it makes sense. Number one, it's always been used for SEO. Number two, I'm not sure that we know
Yeah,
exactly how AIs see it.
yeah.
But, AIs right now are kind of geared toward like Quora and like, the first
Reddit,
passes.
yeah.
Exactly,
Okay.
but I think you absolutely need to have it. And this is another opportunity that I see a lot of people miss where they don't actually track if it's being opened. Because this has a lot of insight about how people are evaluating your product and
Right.
if you need to create more content around these things. Like, can I find Papatui in stores or only online? And then there isn't a store locator link there. That seems like a missed opportunity. So, but again, we don't know if people are using it.
Yeah.
So I think, yes, absolutely, you have to have it for SEO. Number two,
Yeah.
you absolutely have to track it in Google Analytics, which is the only
Right.
place you can do it to see like what they care about and how they're evaluating.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, there's definitely some links that could be inserted. I figure if you haven't added to cart at this point, and you've scrolled this far down, you really are still looking for proof that this product's going to work with you. So I would think it's okay to have a link in here, that goes to, like, all right, well, I kind of want to see this in store. All right, link
Absolutely.
goes over there. So now I can go to in the store, take a look at it. Maybe there's a tester in the store that I can play with. And then we've got, you may also like, nice, nice display of this. I love the colors in this brand. They do a really nice job on all their colors.
I want to say one more thing about this too, with the you may also like. I think it's totally fine to put that further up in the PDP. Lots of times it's here, it's at the very end. But I think that if they're kind of at the 50% mark of the page, as
Right.
you know your scroll, you've earned the right to position other products.
Okay. Well, let's add to cart, and then we just look at the cart page. So we've got a drawer cart popping out on the right-hand side. Thoughts on this type of cart versus taking me directly to the cart page?
What's interesting, well, I think this is very common to have a mini cart. I think it's great that they've called out the free shipping. And also, other things that we really like to do is looking at, don't lose out on free shipping, which is a different kind of bias. Where here saying you're this far away, when you say don't lose out, you're pushing in on a loss aversion bias.
Right.
And so that's a different kind of way to position that. I mean, this is all pretty stable table stakes for a cart. And I think that it's done really well balancing. A lot of times you see people put too much in the cart. I think it
Yeah.
does a good job of showing the upsell, showing the reasons to potentially subscribe without putting too much.
Okay. And this is interesting. I wonder if I just click on that. Look at it. It just automatically upgrades me. That's nice. Good tech. Literally bring the subscription directly in there. Don't make me go back to the product detail page to accomplish the subscription, and I can quickly switch back to one time, and then it changes that button back. That's good. I
I
like
love
that.
it. Yeah, that's great tech.
Yeah.
And to show the value that is being introduced in the cart right at that moment of upgrading.
So if I just go ahead and add another, there we go. Let's get that up there. Good. Congrats. You've unlocked free shipping. Fantastic.
Yes.
Nice and easy. I like that a lot. And we're not going to look at we won't look at the checkout page because, as we discussed earlier, most of the checkout process is locked down. I mean, you can add extensions and things like that to Shopify, but most brands out there are not messing too much with their checkout pages. Okay. Well, one last thing, if you don't mind, if we can just take a quick look at their quiz, because I'm curious about this quiz page. And quizzes seem to be something I see a lot of mattress, or at least in the past, mattress brands, to try to put you in the right mattress. This is an interesting approach, and I like it. This is, your first-party data, your opportunity to capture that first-party data, right? Put in your name, your email address, talk about your skincare routine. Maybe we have not gone through this, but maybe I'll just do that real quickly. And all right. So asking some demographic information. good opportunity for them to learn about their consumer or potential consumer. What are your overall thoughts about the quiz and maybe the quiz and where it is? It's on its own separate page. Should it be a pop-up you see right away? What are your thoughts overall?
I mean, I think I think pop-ups, tend to signal advertising. So I think they're doing a good job of making it its own location.
Okay.
I do think that it could use a better positioning in the front to say, like, here's what you're going to get as a result, instead of just asking me for my name and my information at first. So, but I do see quizzes work well for those who take it. So it's like, if you're going through all the way through, you're going to get a set of custom recommendations for you. And the purchase rate on the quiz takers is usually much higher than people who don't take the quiz.
Okay.
So along the way, when you're talking about, what you're going to get as a result of this, and also how far along are you? Because right here, we're in here, we don't know how many more steps are
Yeah,
there.
I know. We're already like the 5th step, I think. And a progress bar, right, of some kind.
Exactly. It should be like, you're almost done.
Yeah.
So all of these, you're asking some pretty personal
Yeah,
questions
I know.
here.
You're getting into odor here.
Right. And so, positioning at the beginning, tell us all this about you, and we're going to tell you exactly the products.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Companies that do this well are brands like Pros, where they're like creating like custom formulas for you. So if somebody thinks that they're going to get something custom for them, they're willing to fill out a pretty long questionnaire. But in this
Yeah.
case, we haven't really done any positioning, and we're like we don't really know where the end is.
I know. It's interesting. Now you're getting into, and there's no other option here. What are your current skincare issues? I don't have any of these issues. So it's like, I feel like there should be none of the above, maybe, at least. But
Or
it's all, yeah. Let's see. I'll just say that for now and just see what happens. Wow. How many products are you using in your current skincare? They're really asking for a lot of information. I think I'll go with 1 to 2. What are your okay? So now they get in, because that's a big part of it. He's obviously into the, he has a lot of tattoos, and he markets to that audience too. See, I don't have tattoos. Okay, there we go. And then there's your email address to now get your skincare tips, right?
Right. And so hopefully at the end of this, if you enter your email, you're actually getting some recommended products, which I think we do. Like, there are products called Okendo and, that have these kinds of quizzes. One thing that I would note is, like, we should absolutely be tracking this as well as in Google Analytics. Okendo and these other products, Digio, they have the integration so that we can see how the answers relate to the ultimate conversion rate in shopper behavior.
Okay.
So those are just some things that I would do.
That's great. All right. Well, this is perfect. And then we'll just quick little end. Let's see. Of course, that's good. All right. So we've got. I thought I saw a video thing pop up there for a second. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So good. This is it. By the way, usually you see on an About Us page lots of copy, but when you're The Rock, I guess you just do a video and it's good enough and it's going to work perfectly fine. You don't need it for SEO purposes. You're The Rock.
You're The Rock.
Or Dwayne Johnson in this case. Yes, perfect. Well, this is, I love this. This is really, really, really good information. I think that, if somebody's watching this, they should be looking at it through the lens of, just because they're, a big site, just because they're, he's, got millions and his brand has millions, doesn't mean that they're doing everything right. And it doesn't mean that you can't learn from them. At the end of the day, I think that's, kind of where we want to go. Let's learn from I always say, learn from the big guys out there, figure out what they're doing. They've done a lot of testing and see what you can, pull together.
Just follow up on that and see and take a look at what's installed.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll see it. Maybe he or his team will see this when it airs and, reach out to you immediately and say, got that perfect, please fix, tell us how to fix all these things. Well, this has been, I love this. I'm glad that, I hope you enjoyed this too, and kind of, seeing what other people are doing out there. You definitely you're looking at things through the psychological mindset of, what people do, and also, bringing in some, it is, I guess, behavioral psychology at the end of the day. We're just trying to get people to shop, just like a physical retail store would do certain things too, right? When you walk into a physical store, they're going to put things in certain places because they know how the human mind works. So thank you for doing this. And tell everybody how they can find you.
Well, I'm the only Mia Umanos in the whole world. So if you Google me, you will find my LinkedIn. That's probably the best way. But as well, you can join the school. It's a free community. It's the Behavioral CRO Lab. And yeah, I mean, definitely hit me up in LinkedIn. I'm always on there.
Yes, no, you are very active out there, and we will put links to everything and all your properties that are in there. And I think that definitely the getting into the community and learning what other people are doing is a great first step. And maybe finding out about some of the tools we talked. We'll link to all the different tools that you mentioned today, and I hope everybody learns a lot of information about conversion rate optimization. And that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you, Mia, for coming on today. And thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We will do more of this celebrity site review and educate you on how to better your business at the end of the day. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. All right, that brings us to the end of another episode of the E-commerce Revolution podcast. Don't forget to check out past episodes, which are all available on demand on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Ready to join the revolution? Become an exclusive part of our growing community of emerging e-commerce entrepreneurs at ecomrevolution.co. Until next time, see ya.